Hi, everyone. Welcome to the College to Calling Summit. My name is Miko Lau, and the reason why I gathered together over 20 plus experts to do this interview series is because when I first came out of UC Berkeley, I wish I had something like this where I get to tap into the minds of individuals who have accumulated so much success in their life and build such a happy, abundant lifestyle doing what they love. And today we have a very special guest here with us. We have Dr. Jacob Kashiwagi. Dr. Jacob is a thought leader in leadership development, project management, and supply chain management. And he is the author of the No Influence Leadership Model, which is the philosophical foundation of the Leadership Society of Arizona, also known as LSA, which is a nonprofit educational research and program development organization that specializes in leadership and social emotional learning. And I know Dr. Jacob has taught over 1,300 college students and 1,500 high school students. And he is also the author of the book In Search of Truth, 5 stress-free steps to discovering who we are, where we are going, and how to get there. So I am super excited to talk to Dr. Jacob here today about his story and what led to him doing the work that he's doing right now. So thank you, Jacob, for being on here to talk to our audience today.
Thank you for having me, Miko.
Awesome. So let's jump straight into this interview and let's take our audience back in time a little bit. And just to get a context of who Dr. Jacob was back in his early 20s. So who were you back in your 20s and what were you doing back then?
Back in my early 20s, I basically had, from 19 to 21, I came off of a religious mission that I served for 2 years. And I came back into school. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I really had no aspirations. I basically went back and lived at home, and I was playing video games. I loved playing the piano at the time, and I was going to college. And my father was trying to get me to work for him, but I was just really relaxing. I started learning how to dance, and I really was just going to college as a regular college student.
So you were just mainly going to college because you wanted to learn, you wanted to discover different passions, but you didn't really have a clear path of where you were going.
To be honest with you, I went to college because I didn't know what to do.
Oh.
So I was just going to college because that was what was normal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I did it. In fact, I went into industrial engineering only because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And my father received his PhD in industrial engineering. And so I knew I was good at it. I knew it came naturally to me. So I naturally took the path that was the easiest for me to go into, that I thought, hey, I could do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like your story and your experiences resonate with a lot of, including my friends and people that I know, still in college, and they're following this path because they think like that's just the normal way to go. This is the path that we go after high school, and then we choose career paths that might feel like it's the right choice, but not necessarily something that aligns with what we love doing. So did you end up doing industrial engineering after you graduate from college? What did you end up doing?
In reality, no. Most of what I do is actually teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And really it's in the area of management and leadership. And so there are portions of industrial engineering that I have taken with me that has helped me. But most of the technical part of industrial engineering, I do not practice at all.
Okay, so how did you end up going into teaching management and leadership?
You know, it's a really interesting thing. When I was younger, I was the 4th of 8 children. Now, when you're raised in a family of 8 children, nobody pays a lot of attention to you per se. And so not a lot of pressure is on you my older brothers had a lot of pressure on them, finding out a career, making sure they do well in school. But for me, I had a lot of freedom. And what I did with my time was I wasn't preparing for college, I wasn't preparing for a career, but my dream and my passion was I would go to a park right by my house and I would gather all the neighborhood kids because I had to take care of my four younger siblings. And with my four younger siblings, we'd gather all the neighborhood kids, up to 50 to 60 children. And we would play capture the flag at this retention basin or this park by my house. And I did that for my whole high school career. We did it as many days of the week as we possibly could. And I studied very little. And when I got into college, industrial engineering, I actually didn't really like engineering at all. And for most of my college career, I hardly ever studied because I never liked the curriculum. And so what I did was I tried to start a leadership group because I enjoyed people. And so wherever I went, I always tried to recruit people to be able to like get to know each other and to be able to understand kind of like what people's passions were and what they enjoyed doing, and to be able to do something as a group together. And so wherever I've gone in life, I've always tried to recruit people. And I found out I really enjoy being with people and working with people. And so that's, as I got into my professional career, I realized that teaching suited me a lot better than trying to be an engineer of some sort. And to be honest with you, I really didn't plan anything. My direction just came naturally. I only got my PhD because I was actually doing some supply chain management work with my father at the time, research work in the Netherlands. And a professor in the Netherlands, he was the youngest full professor in the Netherlands. He offered to allow me to get my PhD while we did this research work with him. And so it kind of fell in my lap, and I didn't really have an ambition to get a PhD, but this person offered it to me. I said, okay, let's do it. And the same thing with working with the Leadership Society of Arizona and teaching high school students. It just fell in my lap. I had two PhD students that they looked up the work I did at the university, and they found I had created this university group called the Leadership Society of Arizona. And, but that was in my undergrad degree. And they found it and they said, we need to do this, and we need to do this for high school kids. And so they actually entered competitions. They received funding to create the nonprofit. And it just so happened that, you know, they developed it and they wanted me to kind of be their mentor. And so I've been helping with them with it for the last 6 years.
Wow. I love how just from listening to you talk about your journey, you seem like someone who just really go with the flow. You trust the path and you follow your instinct, what's calling you, and you just go with it. And it seems like things are just working out for you along the way. So, you know, teaching, and sounds like you've been really good at also working with individuals, gathering up a group of people together since you were younger. So where do you feel like that drive to inspire, to teach, to empower other people came from? Is this something that you were just started to cultivate when you were younger, or how did that came about?
I think it's in my blood. It's always been who I was. Even as I talked with my parents when I was younger, I was a people person. I kind of understood how to work with people, and I enjoyed doing it. And this is what people don't realize. I am a very go with the flow type of person, because what I found out in life is, in reality, the slower you go, the more you can be aware of what's going on. And people don't realize that life will always work out. There's no way you can mess your life out. And so I've done 25 years of research with a lot of different people, a lot of different very successful people. Life always works out for you, but you need to be able to figure out who you are. Now, imagine a car. if you're driving in a car and you're only going like 5 miles an hour, it gives you time to look around you. You can like look out the windows. You can observe actually what's going on in the world. As you start going quicker and you start going like 200 miles an hour, you no longer can observe what's going on. You just have to stare right in front of you, hoping to like miss objects that you might hit. And this is much like life. People who go slower, who are more relaxed, it gives them time to observe who they are, how they mesh in with the world around them. It gives them time to observe what's going on in the world. And that observation and understanding of what's really going on, it actually makes it more possible for them to be successful and to figure life out and to do something that adds value. But because everyone's so much in a rush, because the education system tells you you have to try to learn so many things and you have to do so much, that now people, they get such in a rush that everything is about making money. And so I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And so they have no idea what's going to add value. And it actually causes their life to be more difficult. They don't become as good at something as they could have. And they actually end up making less money in the long term because they don't do something that adds value that they're really good at. And so for me, I realized going slow, I can see what's going on. And it allows me then to be able to go into a path that I will love and that I'll be more successful in.
Wow, that is so powerful. So the slower we go, the more clarity we have in terms of who we are and the value that we can bring to the world. And I think that's needed, especially nowadays. Like all of us are constantly being bombarded with all kinds of stimulus from external, like social media, news. Everyone around us is telling us like, we need to do this, we need to do that. And we're just constantly trying to achieve to the next level, the next thing. And we don't really take the time to just pause and really be like, who am I and really what I want to do with my life. So I want to dive into your book, In Search of Truth, because that's really what the whole book is really about. And I know you began off in the book, you mentioned how like since you were very little, you were always trying to seek out the truth, seek out understanding of life. And how did that curiosity just came about? Is it something that came naturally to you? What were like some of the biggest things that you came to realize and your understanding from that quest of searching for truth and searching for understanding?
You know, it did come naturally to me. I was always questioning why. So I grew up in a pretty religious family growing up, and I grew in a Japanese family. Asian families are very rule oriented. And so I was told when I could eat, what I could eat. I was told when I could go to bed. I was told when I had to wake up. I was put through a rigorous academic structure that it wasn't from another institution like a school. It was from my mom because we're too cheap to outsource that. So my mom would make our rigorous academic routine that would take us all morning long during the summer, every day. And so I was really, when I was younger, it was very structured. And I was always being told what to do. Go to church, they tell me how to live. I go home, they tell me how to live. I go to school, they tell me what to learn, how to learn, when to learn it. And I always wondered, well, why? You know, why is everyone telling me all this, and do they really know what's going on? And I guess the environment I grew up in, it cultivated this idea in me saying, you know, is this really right? And amazingly, when I was about like 10, 11 years old, my father totally switched his paradigm of raising our family. The youngest was 4 years old, and I was about 10, and the oldest was 19. And my dad, at the time, he decided we would go to a no-rules environment, meaning no one had to do anything anymore in the family. And the reason he did it was my oldest brother. He looked in his eyes and said, hey, what are you going to do? And he got a blank stare because he had told my brother what to do so much throughout his whole life that now that my brother had a choice, he no longer could make his own choices and no longer had a vision of what he was going to do his whole life. And being raised in this type of family and this changing environment, it told me, hey, I need to figure out what's going on, because I don't want to get up to be 19 and not know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And this quest on trying to figure out what's going on is a funny thing, because it actually brought me the opposite answer. Everybody, when they're young, wants to know what they're going to do for their whole life. And the reality of it is, it doesn't matter. I have children as young as 11, 12 years old telling me, how do I figure out my career? I look at them. I'm like, you're 10 years old. You have no experience. You've been very little places. You don't really know a lot in life compared to what you will in 10, 15 years from now. You're not supposed to know what you're going to do. Don't even worry about it. Just enjoy your life. And that's kind of what I figured out with myself, is I don't have to know what I want to do. I just have to start learning how life works. Just enjoy life and kind of observe what's really going on. And what made me want to write this book was, I think that's the most important skill that any person can develop to become successful in their life. The ability to see reality. Now, it's not one of those exciting skills like being able to be a great speaker or being a comedian, being funny, but it is one of those skills that every successful person has developed the ability to get out of their own head. Education systems are teaching the opposite. They tell you to think. Thinking is the worst model you can live by, because when you think, you only use what's in your own mind. And nobody ever tells you as a child, it doesn't matter what's in your own mind. It doesn't matter what you believe. It matters what reality is. And really, the ability to observe and to look out and to see things accurately, that is the greatest skill that you could probably have. It's what will allow you to be able to know what people need. It will allow you to know what you can do in life. It will allow you to know who you are. And that's really what is going to help you to be able to do something great.
Wow. Yeah, like I see us, including myself and then my friends, like we've been told what to do our whole entire lifetime, from the moment we were born all the way up to like college, right? That's the time that we have so much freedom to choose. The moment we graduate from college, we get to decide, okay, what am I going to do now? And so many of people just have no idea, because they have that structure. In school, we have a schedule to follow. We have teachers to tell us what to do. But then the moment we finish, everything is up to us. And then so many of us just have no idea. And I love what you say about like that skill set of really being able to observe and be aware of what's going on is the number one skill set that all of us can develop. And I think someone mentioned before to me that life is just about awareness, where we direct our focus, our energy, and attention. And that's really what life is all about. So now that we know this is an important skill set that we all should cultivate, how do we go about cultivating that skill set?
There's a couple of things. Especially if you're young. The younger you are, the easier it will be. The first thing I say, learn to do nothing. I know that I saw this movie, I think it's called Christopher Robin or something, but it was a movie on Winnie the Pooh. And how Christopher Robin grows up and he's so busy with his job, he forgets about this little bear that he used to play with. And the bear is always doing nothing, because he found out that sometimes doing nothing leads to the very best of something. And it's the same way with life. When you learn to relax, to go slow, to enjoy yourself, it's the only way you can actually open your eyes and start to observe what's going on. When you're stressed, when you feel pushed to do something, you no longer can actually look with a clear lens. because you have a motivation, you have a purpose, and it biases your view on life. But if you can just learn to relax, to do something that you enjoy, it allows you to open that lens and to be able to see what's going on. The second thing is find a mentor. Find people that you can talk to that can tell you if your view on life is accurate. And we never like to do this because people will always tell you you're wrong, because most of the time, let's face the fact, most of the time we are wrong. I learned that from my wife. But it's really true. When we're younger, we know less. We're more likely to be wrong. And so if you have someone who's older, I always tell people, find someone with gray hair, because they will tell you like it is. And it's better to figure out you're wrong when you're beginning your life than to go through 50 years only to figure out that the whole time you've been doing it wrong. Surround yourself with good people who are older than you, who are wiser than you, that you respect, and always talk to them about everything in life. I talk to many high school and college kids, and I tell them, do you talk with your parents? They say yes. But they don't really talk to them. They say, okay, like, hi, how are you doing? What type of movies do you like? But they don't talk to them about their relationships. They don't talk to them about how they're looking at a person. They don't talk to them about every little detail of their life. And the more you do that when you're younger, the more accurate your view will become as you get older. And so that's the second most important thing you can do. The third thing I tell people that they can do is find things to calm the mind. We want to make it so that you don't have to think. And so what we want to do is minimize your thinking, or what I call meditate. Clear your mind so that when you open it, it can be filled with something good, right? So if you meditate, if you do yoga, anything that allows you to be able to calm yourself and relax, that's what we're looking for. So those are the three things I can say if you want to develop this skill to be able to do.
Yes, yes. I personally practice a few of those things myself. But here's the question, though, I have for you, and probably our listeners are wondering. They always think that life is so stressful. Like, there's so much things that you need to keep up with, like pay the bills, especially college graduates. We have loans, student loans to pay off, right? So, and we have to focus on finding a job, just like constantly there's things on our to-do list. So how can we balance between that, like the reality of life, the struggles, and also finding time to just do nothing and find time to be still? Like, how can we work around that balance?
This is a really tough question that many people ask me. And it's tough not because the answer is complicated, but it's tough because to do it is so hard. And this is why I tell people, write down everything you think you have to do, and then eliminate 50% of that list. Go through, and anything that isn't 100% necessary, cut it off. The reason I say this, because when you really look at what you have to do to survive, it's very little. And when you minimize to only figure out what you have to do, and you only do that, it allows you to be able to perfect it. It allows you to be able to learn how to live your life very efficiently. And as you do that, you'll have more and more time. Plus, if you eliminate 50% of that, then this 50% now is free time. Most of the time, this 50%, you need someone else to tell you it's not required. Because when you look at it, you're going to say, oh, I have to do this. I have to, do this and that. I have to go and spend time with this person, or I have to, spend an hour getting ready, or I have to go and spend, an hour going to this place that is a hangout for people so I can network, whatever it might be. You're never going to tell yourself, oh yeah, that's not required, or that's not required. But somebody else looking at your life can say, you don't really need to do that, or you don't really need this in your life. And when you eliminate this 50%, then it will give you your time to do nothing, to relax, and to spend time getting to know yourself, what you like, choosing what you want to do with your life. And that, if you just start with that, it will help you start taking back your life. Now, I do
Yeah.
this all the time, Nico. You need to realize that even though I'm pretty established and I don't really have a lot of worries, but I do this all the time. When I think I'm getting too busy and I'm getting tired and I'm not getting enough sleep, I will go through my list of things. I'll tell myself, what do I really need to do? Right? What are those things that are necessary for me? And what are those things that I'm trying to do because I'm trying to get ahead in my career? Or I'm trying to, earn more money, or I'm trying to be able to meet more people. And I'll eliminate them. Because, sorry about that, I should actually turn the sound off on my phone. But yes, I'll eliminate them because it's not for good. It's just for the time so that I can become more efficient in my life to be able to do all of that and also be able to relax as well.
Yeah, and I think just the simple act of writing it out on paper it empties our mind, because having all these like to do things inside our brain, it takes up energy and makes us feel like we are more busy than we actually are. So the simple act of writing it out, emptying that onto paper, I think it's really powerful and help us get a better picture to really see what we are spending our time doing every single day. So Dr. Jacob, now it sounds like you are someone who really have clarity and you have a really good idea of what really true success means to you. So if I were talking to you right now when you were still younger, what was your definition of success back
My
then?
definition of success, it was to live the dream, have a lot of money, have a lot of fame, have a lot of friends and people that I enjoy around me, have a good family. In fact, I actually, when I was younger, wanted to have a very big family. I love kids. And so I was saying, okay, I want to get married early and I want to be able to have as many kids as I possibly can. Now, I didn't get married till I was much later, actually. And I just had my firstborn child about a month ago.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I don't actually have a lot of kids. My life didn't happen the way I thought it was going to be for me to be successful, actually. But I realized that it didn't need to be. And what I realized is a successful life is one where the person is happy. I've seen many people with big families that always complain about their children because they're not happy. They actually didn't want them. They actually didn't care about that type of lifestyle. I've also seen many people who have had lots of children in big families that are very happy with them. And it's like the pride and joy of their whole life. I've seen many people who have lots of money and they waste it away because they're trying to find out how to use it to make themselves happy, and they just can't figure it out because they don't do what they enjoy. They're not in a place that they want to be in, even though they have all the money in the world. And you can even see this with very famous people. That's why so many famous people who shouldn't have a care in the world, but they're not doing what they enjoy. They're not around the people they want to be. And they go to drugs, alcohol, different things because of it. And so I realized success is if you are happy. And happiness doesn't always come with a lot of money or a big family or a good degree or the perfect job.
Yeah, it's funny though, because I feel like with what you're doing with the Leadership Society of Arizona, you do have a bunch of kids that you're passionate about working. So you do have a big family in that sense. So
It's a
so
funny
now,
thing, right?
yeah.
If you really figure out who you are and you work your life towards developing yourself, I've never seen someone not get what they really want. And you're right. I did want a big family, and I do have a very big family now.
Yeah. So
In
how
fact,
would you
one more
say?
thing. In fact, you saw
Yeah.
someone walking around here while I was interviewed. I actually
Yes.
have many people who are in this house right now
Mm-hmm.
um, because I love a lot of people around me. And so I have a very big family, even though they're not my immediate family.
Yeah. So what would you say are like the steps to really finding that true happiness in life? Because since you said being able to be happy is success, but how do we get to the point where we're truly happy and fulfilled?
Okay. There's no one right way to do it for anyone, but I'll give you some ideas of what you need. One, you need someone who knows about life. That's why I say you need a mentor. You need someone who can tell you, hey, this isn't that important in your life. You don't have to worry about it. Because up to yourself, you're always going to get stressed. Something is always going to stress you, and you always need someone to tell you, hey, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Right? And I've seen in my own life, I have many people in my own life, especially my father, who I'm really close to. I consider him my best friend. But if I ever get stressed, none of my peers, none of my, I call children, um, they can't tell me it's going to be okay because I know they don't see as far as I do into the future and they don't see what's coming. But I do know that my father knows more than me. And so when he tells me, hey, Jacob, it's going to be fine, then I can relax. It allows me to be able to say, okay, don't have to worry. Things are going to be okay. So you need someone that can kind of help you calm down. Two, when you're calmed down, it allows you then to be able to say, hey, and be honest with yourself and say, what do I really enjoy? What about this job? What about money? What about this that is making me happy? Is something that I really do enjoy. With that, when you know who you are, when you can be honest with yourself, it allows you to create what I call a dream. Everybody needs a dream. Your dream's going to change over time, but you need something that you're waking up in the morning for. One of the activities I do with many of my students is I tell them, okay, take a marker, multiple markers, draw a picture. The picture is of your dream. Something that you want, that you don't have, that you can work towards right now, that's going to make you really happy. And I've seen many different crazy dreams. One one student, his dream was to drink a Dr. Pepper every day. Now, I can't say that might lead him to happiness, it might lead him to have very big health issues. But that was his dream, and it made him happy thinking about it. And it made him happy trying to reach it. It doesn't matter what your dream is. You need something that's motivating you to get up every morning, something that you're going to be excited about. And so I tell people, you need that. You need the honesty with yourself on what really is making you happy.
Mm,
The
I
third
love it.
thing,
Yeah, go ahead.
the third thing you need is you need other people.
Hmm.
And so you need to learn to reach out to ask for help. And so I use every single person around me. When I was a researcher at Arizona State University, as a researcher, I wasn't given a lot of money to do my research, but I was required to do a lot of things. So whenever students would come in, I'd always recruit students. And all the good students would go to all the other research groups and whatnot because I couldn't really pay a lot. It didn't matter to me. Anyone who I told them my vision and they said, yeah, I want to work for you. Even if they were the lowest classmate around, even if they weren't doing well, they weren't necessarily what people call it the smartest, I would work with anybody that wanted to work with me. And I would figure out what they were good at, and I would use that skill to help the whole effort move along. And so whether you're like at the top of the chain and you're the boss, or
Hmm.
whether you're just someone who's like just starting off and you don't really have a lot of people who are clamoring to want to be with you and work with you, reach out. You'll always find people, and you always want to use other people to help you out. And so you
Hmm.
need to learn to utilize the expertise I call of others.
Yes, and someone mentioned this earlier before to me that life is all about relationships, and we have there's something to really get from like benefit from so many people around us. They know things that we don't necessarily know, or they're good at things that we are not really good at. So really building those relationships is so important. But I love what you mentioned about using the markers to really draw out our dreams. And I love that you really make it emphasize the fact that like all of us have something that is unique to us, and it's okay to have different dreams that are only going to make ourselves happy.
Yeah.
And really, that's a really important idea, especially in our society nowadays. Like people constantly telling us like we need to do this, we need to do that in order to be successful, to be happy. But really, we need to do the one thing that is true to ourselves that makes us happy, even if that's drinking Dr. Pepper. So Pepsi, right? Every single day. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. So,
So
um,
to recap,
mhm,
you need good advice. You need someone to be able to advise you, to calm you down to. You need to be honest with yourself and discover your dream. And you need other people.
mhm,
You need the help and the support from other people around you. And if you do those three things or try to cultivate those three things, you will figure out what your passion is. You'll figure out how to be successful in your own life, how to be happy.
yeah, and all those three things are absolutely things that all of us can do immediately, like starting today, we can implement that. So Dr. Jacob, to wrap up this interview, I have a few last questions I would love to ask you. So like in your research and working with so many people, young people especially, and all that you do nowadays, what would you say like the number one thing that's really stopping people from really going after the things that they want in life?
Their own head.
Mm.
And what I mean by their own head, it's fear.
Mhm.
Everybody fears that they're going to make a mistake, that they're going to decide not to finish college, or they're going to decide not to take this job, or they're going to decide to go against their parents' wishes, or they're going to decide to do something that totally messes up their whole life. And they don't realize that you can never make a mistake in life. You are built as a person, and who you are, it completely attracts what comes to you. As you develop yourself, the right opportunities are going to present itself. Life is a cause and effect thing. It's not a random thing. It's not a thing that happens by chance. Who you are is directly related to everything that goes on around you. And so if you're true to yourself and you get out of your head, you get out of thinking. Every fear you have is not what is reality. It's what you think is going to happen. When you really look at the cause of every fear, right? You don't fear failing the test. You fear what's going to happen after you fail the test. If I fail this test, then these things will happen. If I don't get a good grade, these things will happen. If I don't get this job, then these things are going to happen. And you fear the future. But you don't even know what the future is. And what you're going to find is all of your current fears, they're imagination. It's something that you're just thinking in your mind. And so if you can get out of your head, if you can overcome your fear, then you're able to move on, and you're going to find that your life is going to be wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the two key points that I got from that piece is that like when we understand that we cannot make a mistake or do anything wrong in this lifetime, that takes a huge pressure off of our shoulders, and it allows us to just approach life in a carefree, fun, easygoing way. And then the number two thing, the key thing that you just point out is being able to observe from like a stand back and observe the fears and the imaginary worst case scenarios that goes on in our minds. If we can step back and observe that from that point of view, that could again also take away a lot of the stress and the anxiety that can come up just by staying in our minds and really dwelling in that fear. It can be really suffocating. I've been there. I know how that feels like. So Dr. Jacob, last question. I could talk to you all day, by the way. You have so much amazing insights to share with us.
Okay.
But to honor your time, I have a last question for you. So now, knowing everything that you know now, all the experience you have accumulated, all the lessons that you have came to learn growing up to this point in your lifetime, if you can go back and talk to your 20-year-old version of yourself, or just think of like talking to our audience, people in our early 20s, what would you say to that version of yourself?
I tell them two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, don't worry about it. Things will work out exactly how you want them to work out. And two, I tell them, believe everything that people tell you. When I was younger, people would tell me, hey, you're really good at that or this or whatnot. Mostly my parents and close friends, and I'd always think, they're just saying that. And I think they're not really being honest with me because, you know, they're supposed to tell me, hey, great job, you're really good, that you're going to do well. But if I had to go back, every time someone told me that, I'd believe them. Because I realized that they were being honest. And it was just in my mind that I thought people were being forced to tell me these things. And so I think if my younger self could realize it's going to be okay, I can relax more,
Mm-hmm.
and also to believe people as they give me compliments, my life would have been 10 times happier.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Jacob, for taking the time out to really share with our audience today what things that you have came to learn growing up and things that you wish someone would have, you know, told you earlier on, because I think it's such a huge blessing for people like me, people like our listeners listening right now, to have the opportunity to really listen to everything that you just share. Also from other experts that are sharing the insights and wisdom with us on this interview series. Because if we can get this knowledge and insight right now at this point in our lifetime, we can really jumpstart that dream life, that ultimate best life that we can create for ourselves, rather than having to wait decades doing something that it's not true to who we are, and then only to realize that we could have gotten started way ahead of time. So we couldn't have done it without people like you. So thank you so much, Dr. Jacob. And I know you have prepared something special for our listeners today. Would you like to go into talking about that, about your chapter, the free chapter of your book?
Oh, you know, I have to apologize. Alfredo didn't brief me exactly on what we're going to offer, but I do believe that they do offer multiple free chapters of the book,
Mm-hmm.
as well as multiple videos that we also have that are available for anyone who's interested in learning more.
Yes, absolutely. And I will put that link inside of the same email that this interview is going out to. So make sure you go back to the email to access that link so you can get the free chapter to Dr. Jacob's In Search of Truth book, as well as a bunch of other free resources that will be super powerful if you get your hands on them. And also, Dr. Jacob, our listeners, I bet that they would love to continue to stay connected with you and just continue to follow your footsteps and learn from you. So where can they find you online?
You know, I think if they type in leadaz.org, they will find a lot of the material that we are teaching to students right now. Mm-hmm. And also, if they just look up my name, you can probably find me on LinkedIn or whatnot. And I take emails. I love to talk to people. So if you have any questions or whatnot, you can definitely send me an email or link in with me on any of my social media.
Awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend all of you guys to just send Dr. Jacob an email. It's like people like Dr. Jacob is so generous and kind, who really connect with people like us. And it's really, really powerful to be able to talk to people like you. So thank you again, Dr. Jacob. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in today. And make sure you come back to listen to our next interviews to learn more. Okay, I'll see you next time.
Bye, Miko.
Bye.